We are talking about 5xing your tax efficiency without adding any additional staff. What does your tax process look like? Are you currently offering tax services? And is it something that comes up in your client conversations? And kind of describe, what's going on with that process as it exists. Today, we'll talk about how to efficiently gather those tax returns from your clients and then literally have an analysis of those tax returns that you could then share with your clients within seconds. And we could talk about too, do you give them the report? Do you explain the report? Do you give a summary of it? I have Tori here with me. I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself and then we'll go from there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tori Hoppy, Head of Partnerships at Holistiplan. I couldn't be more excited to do this webinar again with Nora. I know we kind of had a base level webinar, 5-6 months ago, and now we're kind of building on top of that. So I'm so excited to be here and to kind of continue on the learning train for you all.
Yeah, definitely. We have worked really hard on this integration. I was so happy to see it come to fruition. I'll go ahead and jump into PreciseFP and kind of show you exactly what the integration entails. So if you log into PreciseFP, you know, if we go back to the home page, this is going to be your front page news of what you see initially. This is what's going on for you in the office. And what we want to do first is turn on the Holistiplan integration if you haven't. So if you go to settings on the bottom left-hand corner, if your picture isn't there, it'll be a silhouette of a person. And then you'll click on this tab here that says integrations. And for integrations, you're going to want to look here. This is in ABC order. So you'll go ahead and find Holistiplan. Mine is enabled already. So right now it says disable, but right here it'll be lit up in green and ask you to enable the integration. And I know I'm a visual person, so I'll jump over to this tab just to show you what it'll ask for next. Next, after you enable it, it'll open up Holistiplan. You'll be able to enter in your login credentials, and then it'll ask if you're authorizing PreciseFP. So as soon as you click authorize, what'll happen is now it'll be available in your export list. And exporting is going to be like the last step in the process. So we'll get to that at the very end. So stay tuned. But once you turn on the integration, your next step is to go to the templates. So here there's a picture of a piece of paper. That's going to be your templates area. And you're going to go to the form library. One of the great things with PreciseFP is when we come out with a new integration, more than likely there is going to be an optimized template to coordinate and correspond with that integration. So you just have to hit the ground running when that integration is released. So you can type in Holistiplan here in the search. I like to just go to more for the new and updated section. And you'll notice the fifth one here is that tax return submission with Holistiplan. So if you haven't already, you're going to want to install this template. And what that means is it's going to pull it from the library and put it into your templates area. So this is the front end work that's entailed with this. So you'll go back to the templates area, you'll go back to my templates, and then we'll pull up the Holistiplan one. And I personally suggest to go to the template after you installed it and customize it a little bit because we built out this engagement. So you do want to give it a once over and make sure that it fits with your office, fits with their branding, fits with, the way that you guys write things and talk to your clients. So maybe you read here and it says, thank you for entrusting me with your financial goals. And that's something you would never actually say. You could just double click on that and erase it or replace it. to correspond to what works for your office. So I'll go ahead and delete that just as an example, and you'll notice that is instantly changed. And I also suggest to go to this theme button in the top right hand corner. Theme is great because you can change the look and feel of this engagement. So right now it has that, black, green, and gray look, but you can definitely change this out to your brand, your colors, whatever you're using. So maybe we like to use a dark red instead of that green. We could go over to the red area and pick that dark red color, and it'll go ahead and change for us. So this is something you want to think about doing as well, just to kind of make sure that it's coordinating with your branding. But now it'll go ahead and take the client to the next page. And this is where all the magic happens, where you're not going to have to hire additional staff if you want to add on tax services to what you're offering. Instead, you could use PreciseFP as that way to go ahead and in bulk gather all of the tax returns from your clients. And what'll happen is it'll automatically send to Holistiplan for processing. So once we go ahead and like what it says here, maybe you want to be specific here and you want to put, please upload your 2024 tax return. Whatever you want it to say, you could go ahead and customize it a little bit further. But as soon as that is done, now you want to send it to your clients. So you want to go to the form library, install the template. You want to go into the template and customize it as you see fit. And then the last step will be to export it. Or to send it to your clients. So I like to go to the silhouette here of the person and go to all accounts. If this page is blank, you want to bring clients in. So you can click on that plus sign and you can import them in from, your CRM. You can do a bulk import using a CSV. Whatever way you want to get them in, most commonly is from a CRM, but that's how you would get people in. And once you see them on this list, the first option is to go to the person's name and click engage. And you would choose with a form because the form is going to allow them to edit the form and add things to it, where a PDF is more like a read-only situation, like if you're opening an account. But as soon as I choose with a form, I can choose that Holistiplan engagement. And since this is very sensitive information, we're sending over a tax document through PreciseFP, there will be authentication that is required. So I personally like to change this to email. And what that means is it's going to send the client a code through their email where they'll have to authenticate using that code. If your clients prefer that text message where the code gets texted right to their phone, you can choose SMS authentication, but you would have to have a phone number on file in order to choose that. But we'll just stick with email, and then you can review and edit first or send it immediately, and that'll go ahead and send this one engagement to this one client. And then you could kind of see before you send it, what it looks like and feels like, and make sure it's perfect and ready to go. And definitely, look at that last page and make sure that looks correct as well. That is the first way to do it, is individually, and that might be a good way to do it if, you know, for example, right now tax season is way over and you just maybe forgot a few clients. You could go ahead and grab that from that one or two. But I like to point out that you can also do this in bulk. So typically you might have a group of clients that you have segmented that you offer your tax services for, and then you could choose those clients. In this case, it might be a whole handful here, or maybe it's everyone and you want to gather them all. You have that checkbox option at the top. And then same thing, you could choose engage and choose that Holistiplan engagement. And this will send one single engagement to all of the 34 clients. So same thing, you would want to make sure that you choose the authentication preference, and this way it'll send it all to the 34 people. They'll receive the engagement, be able to upload their tax return, and that's going to send over for processing. So we're talking about days of work that can be done with just a few clicks. And you might even want to use this as a way to, gather more of your clients' wallet share. Maybe you're not currently offering some clients tax services. You can do this as like a lead generation where you're, using it to say, complimentary this year. We are going to assess your tax returns and then put a price on it next year as a way to kind of show them the value behind it, whatever way you want to do it. But this is a very quick, very easy way to send this over to the clients, gather that tax return in bulk, and then it'll send over to process. And to process automatically, you definitely want to have them in Holistiplan first. If they are not there yet, you want to make sure you click on their name and choose export and choose Holistiplan. As soon as you do this, you'll notice here when I choose this export button, it's just going to be a matter of seconds where it's going to take this household and send them over to Holistiplan. And if I go to this mapping table, this is available on our help desk. If you go to help.precisefp.com and type in Holistiplan, I will zoom in here. But these are all of the fields that are going to be going from PreciseFP into Holistiplan. So if they do not exist in Holistiplan yet, it'll create this household. If they do exist already, it'll go ahead and update. But these are all fields that you would not have to go in and create manually. You don't have to, click on add new and type in the first name, the last name, the birth date. All of that is going to export along with that tax return document. As a best practice, I do want to go here to the help article and point out this section here where, as a best practice, you might want to make sure that the naming structure of the document has this tip. So the tip is to have the year in the file's title. So you might, give directions to your team that as soon as we receive that email letting us know that the Anderson family has returned this engagement with their tax return, you might want to just go in and double check if this is important to you. Just double check that the year 2024 is in that document title. So that way, when it does export, it'll go ahead and include that just for historical purposes, assuming you're doing this year after year.
Yeah, and I would make sure that the client actually sends you the right year. We've seen a lot of times where the advisor thinks that they're getting the 2024 tax return and they've actually received the 2022 or 2023. Maybe this is the first time the client has sent these documents over to you, so they sent 5 years of tax returns in one document. So just Nora's right. Just make sure like you're triple quickly glancing. It makes it real easy at the top of that return. It'll tell you the year quickly that you've got the right document. But it is imperative that you know that you're working with the right year.
Yes. Yeah, you trust the clients to do it, but you'll notice some little things here and there that will continually improve your process. That's true. But that'll be the precise FP part where, you're able to import clients in from your CRM or wherever they exist. You can in bulk or individually send that already made engagement over to them it'll gather that tax return and it'll go over. So I haven't actually counted out all of the clicks and typing that it would entail without the integration. But you just want to think, if you sent this over email, first of all, your client might not feel secure sending their tax information through email. Second, you would have to, once you receive it in the email or even through a document sharing solution, you would then have to download and upload and click on this tab and click there. And just the number of clicks that you would be able to save is significant, and it would add up, assuming you're offering this service to many, many clients. All right, we have some good questions coming in. Matthew is asking, is it possible to segment clients in the system so that you can select all of certain groups, such as if you have tiers of client services that would include tax services? So in PreciseFP, there isn't a way to kind of tag your clients. This is a tax client, this is an investment client, this is an insurance client. What I would do is kind of match that up with your CRM. More than likely in your CRM, you are segmenting out your clients. Maybe you use Redtail and you're using keywords. What I would do is then do an advanced search for all of the clients that have the tax client keyword and cast a net over that group. And then you could import that CSV. You could export it from Redtail, import it into PreciseFP. Now you have a nice list of your tax clients, and that would be a way to get them all in bulk into PreciseFP and then start working with them. Rosario says, thank you. Yes, you're very welcome. Another question same question, but just kind of written out differently, where can I tag clients as taxes and send them through the bulk email? So yeah, I would kind of coordinate that process with your CRM in order to accomplish that, but I'll definitely write that down as a suggestion and see if that's something we can get implemented as well. But great questions. All right, now I'll go ahead and stop sharing and I'll pass it over to Tori to kind of show you what exactly happens from that point. Now that we were able to gather everything, now it's in Holistiplan, then what? Then what happens and what kind of time is saved, and how many resources do we not have to continually add in order to accomplish an insane process like this? Clients from research repeatedly are asking for this service. So it is something that you want to definitely sit down and think about. How do we scale this process?
Yeah, and I wanted to quickly hop in. Just if you ever like, hey, is that integration turned on or did it enable correctly? You could always go up to your settings button here, click integrations, and then scroll down to the PreciseFP and then confirm if it was in disabled. Let's say disabled here, and you'd slide the toggle. But just so if you ever wanted to check to confirm that that worked, that's where you do that, is under that integrations section there. So once you have the returns in the system, PreciseFP makes that really easy for you to collect those items. You can really start that tax planning conversation with your client, right? So here's my client, the Joneses. I actually have 3 years of tax returns in here. So you can see we've collected those 3 returns from then, 22, 23, and 24. It'll tell you the type of return that you enabled here. We have a couple of different options for advisors now. If you have the direct 1040, if you collect it from the idme.com, which is the IRS website, or if you have a transcript that they gave you, now you'll have 3 different option types there if you whatever kind of return that you get from them. So I'm going to hop into the 2024. So like Nora said, once this is uploaded, the document, it's going to create this really nice report that you're going to get to go over with your client. You're going to get an email from us saying that the Joneses tax report is now ready for you to review, which should be within about 45 seconds of that return going into the system. So once you have that return, now you have all this really great data around their tax planning needs. So the key figures box is just what that return did for them for the year. So it's kind of like a jumping off point. This is kind of where you say, okay, this was your total income, this was your deductions, this was your filing status. I can't get that out this morning. Your filing status. Here's your carry forward losses, your credits claimed, all of that good stuff, right? So it's right here at the top of the box. One thing that I do want to note is this is customizable. So just like your PreciseFP account, you can also customize this. You can add your own logos, disclosures. You can hide items in here if you didn't want to have the title. You can edit the title to change it to how you want it to read. But you're able to customize this to fit into your business strategy. So as you see, we've made a lot of updates to this report. So if you are a Holistiplan user, you have probably seen us iterate this report a few times. So Tax Report 2.0 launched the end of last year, and we heard a lot from advisors that their clients love the report, but they would love other graphics in there. Just again, visually helps them understand what their money is doing for them. So we've added in some really great visuals that you'll see as I scroll through here. So the first visual you'll see is a tax breakdown. So it's going to show you the ordinary income. This client is self-employed, so it's going to have the self-employment tax and then the long-term cap gains and qualified dividends in there as well. You're going to see the marginal tax bracket. So what I really love about our reports is we make it really user-friendly and easy for the advisor and client to understand. We know tax planning is new. We know that this is an educational piece, not just for the advisor, but for the client as well. So under each section, you're going to kind of see like highlighted boxes exactly where that client lands. So for the marginal tax bracket for the Joneses, for the 2024 season, they landed in the 22% bracket. What is that threshold for that marginal rate? Well, it's 94,000 to 201 and change, their ordinary income and what they were taxed on. We'll also show them this really nice graph that shows them kind of where it percentagely falls for them. Again, the long-term gains is going to highlight it out for them, and the graph over here is going to help them understand where that falls. The Medicare Part B and D premium section is where we really put in a lot of time and effort, because this is a really complicated thing that pre-retiree and retiree clients are trying to figure out, and their advisors are trying to figure out, how do we plan? How do we financially plan for the Medicare premiums? Do they qualify? Where do they qualify? How much are they paying? All of that good stuff. So we put in a lot of time and effort on this Medicare part. You'll see the thresholds, the magi for them, how it's broken out, and then the premium that the client will pay. Schedule A is the itemized deduction summary. So you're going to see, what was their medical and dental expenses? Did they claim state and local taxes? Their mortgage, interest rate, gifts to charity, all of that stuff under that itemized section will fall here. And then Schedule B income sources is one of my favorites, especially if it's a new client. Say this is the first time you're doing tax planning for the Joneses. This is kind of a check-in point where you can say, okay, are there any accounts listed in the Schedule B income source section that I don't know about? I'm a perfect example. When I started working at Holistiplan 3.5 years ago, I plugged in my return, right? We're all guinea pigs when it comes to being at tech firms. So plugged in my return, wanted to learn how the system worked, and then a Fidelity account showed up under this income source. And so I quickly asked my advisor what that account was, and it happened to be a 401k that had rolled out from a previous job that I kind of forgot and didn't know was there. So I was able to get that account rolled over into my new 401k at my current job, and then have that managed better than just sitting there and doing nothing. The next section is the capital gains and loss bucket here. And then I really like this new graphic that we added as well. It's the tax efficiency of the investment incomes that the client has. So again, kind of just gives them a visual of where they're sitting. And then the modified adjusted growth. And then where it gets really fun is the observation. So this is where that tax planning really starts for the client. These observations tell you what the client could potentially start to do better to better their outcome for their tax planning needs. No observations are going to be the same. My return doesn't look the same as Nora's return, not only because we live in different states, but because marital statuses or children or whatever the case may be, we don't have the same makeup. So observations are going to be different for each client. As you can see, there's this edit option. You're able to kind of add notes. You can hide if this was something you didn't want to go over with the client, or you were like, we'll tackle that the following year. You can hide it. So when you print this report and save it, it will not be there for the client to see. We also have state tax hints. So we only read the federal return. We don't do state returns, but based off that federal return, if you have a client that lives in a state that has state income taxes, you're able to have these state hints. So the Joneses live in California, so there's some state tax hints that we're able to give to them.
Yeah, you guys have been busy because there are so many new things that I'm looking at compared to the last time that we talked. And just like you, kind of similar to where I remember when I started working with my advisor, the first thing he wanted to do was get our tax return and get it assessed. But he was like, I have this girl's name and this girl's number. You need to reach out to her, send it to her. She's going to assess it. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh, that's not the experience I was looking for. I have to reach out to this random person and have them look at it. So I think it's just as an advisor, if you can manage that experience of when your clients are desiring this service, you're ready to offer it
Mm-hmm.
and being able to work off of that request.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. Clients are looking to the advisor more and more on tax planning. We know that you guys aren't tax professionals, but they are not getting that information. They're not getting any guidance when it comes to tax planning. So they're kind of starting to look to you, and you're kind of standing there going, I didn't really know what to do. I don't really, this isn't my wheelhouse. So that's kind of why we're here is we want to help you be that success. We want you to understand tax planning. We want your clients to be successful in their tax planning needs. And that's why we keep, building out the product the way we have, because it's advisors like you that keep coming to us with needs and wants, and we see the value in that.
Yeah, definitely. Can you kind of talk about the best practices that you've seen done from here? Are clients meet or are advisors meeting with their client in a meeting? Are they sending over that report with some of the hidden options? Or are they kind of like, I'm not sending this to the client at all. I don't want them Googling
Yeah.
things or looking up things. What happens?
Yeah, we joked about ChatGPT before we had hit start on the webinar, right? We don't want a lot of people plugging in stuff to ChatGPT as much as it's fun. But when it comes to their financial planning, ChatGPT can be really scary. What we see, especially if tax planning is new to your business, what the advisor typically does is request those returns, just how Nora showed you with that request through PreciseFP, collect the data, and it goes into Holistiplan, and then you set a meeting with the client to go through that report. There is a lot of information there, so you kind of don't want to overwhelm them on just sending the report and say, here's this tax report that I did for you and what what you could possibly do better. They typically like to have the advisor or the client come in first, especially if it's the first go around with it, talk through what you saw, talk through the options. I didn't show it today, but there is another side of the technology that we have called our scenario analysis tool. So you kind of bring those observations to life, kind of like in your um, financial planning tool where you're going to show them different portfolio options.
Mhm.
The scenario analysis tool allows you to build out different tax planning options for them to show. So you really want to have that one-on-one conversation with them about the report, and then the client can say, hey, I would really love to see what that Roth conversion would look like, or yes, I know, I'm getting married. What does filing jointly versus separately look like for us for 2026, right? So having that open dialogue with them with that
Oh,
report in front of them, I think is really important. And then you can build those scenarios. And then once the meeting is over, send that home, either have it pre-printed or collect the notes and then send it back as a follow-up with the client saying this is what we went over, this is the plan of attack for the next 6 months. We will revisit at the end of the year just to make sure we're on track and to make sure that that's still kind of what we want to be doing.
yeah, I feel like I'm thinking of all the new AI note takers that can even do all of that for you. That
Hmm.
would be really nice to plug in
Yeah.
with PreciseFP and Holistiplan, where, as soon as they're invited into the meeting, they're capturing all this, summarizing it, and even making sure that it's added into your CRM as notes for history. So
Hmm.
that way, when it comes to next year, you can just pull up all of your tax notes and kind of get a quick rundown of what exactly was discussed the previous year.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we've got great integrations with Redtail and Wealthbox on that. So it'll push over um, task reminders for you. So if there's things that on their tax planning needs that needs a reminder for, that'll go over. The
Oh,
reports will feed in. So we're kind of all intertwined and connected. So you'll always have the data that you need at the heart of your business.
yeah. Is there an end of the year tax planning kind of aspect to this where before
Yeah,
tax?
I mean, I know a lot of people think that tax planning is just happening in April because that's the filing deadline. But really, tax planning is happening all year long because different things are happening to the client all the time. An unexpected retirement could happen. A child could be born. You could get married. You left one job and started a new one where now your income has shifted, or now you've got equity built in a company, and that company sold, and now you've got that equity sitting on the books for the year, right? There's all sorts of things that happen in clients' lives day in and day out that affect their tax planning need. So we always say that tax planning is a year-round sport. So typically, what most of our advisors are doing is that they have they do their check-in with them. Um, Basically, clients can start filing taxes basically February 1st, right? Returns are due to clients by January 30th. Then they start the filing process February 1st, and the deadline is April. So advisors actually start communicating with their clients in February, saying tax planning season is upon us. As soon as that return is completed, please let us know and send that to us, right? And then they're dripping on them between February and May. So they're getting ready for that 6 month June check-in. So that's that summer check-in that you guys do with your clients. That's when you're kind of doing your tax planning for the year, because that new return is in. And then on that back half, you're going and making sure that you're executing what you talked about. And then I would say October, November, you're doing your check in with your client again, making sure that the tax planning needs haven't changed, and that if they do, they still have, you know, 30 to 60 days of the year to make sure that they can get in what they need to get in.
Interesting. Yeah, so it is a whole year roundup. And I'm sure, it's going to continuously improve. You might find that, you want to start earlier or later, or send one more reminder, things like that. And is there a way to see who hasn't returned maybe you do offer this person tax services and they haven't? Is there a way
Have you
to
sent the return to us?
yeah, like I know you had multiple years of history of tax returns. Maybe is there a way to see who hasn't sent in their 2024?
Yeah, you can filter your clients out based off the
Nice.
year that you're looking through, so you can see who you have 2024 returns for and who you don't. The other great thing is it's a um, most of the folks here are going to use the PreciseFP integration, which I highly recommend. It just makes life so much easier. But we also have a feature too. If you just have those onesie twosie clients that maybe you haven't put them anywhere yet, right? We all have those fly by night clients that you're like, oh gosh, I need to get stuff done for them. We actually
Yeah.
have the ability for you to create a code. So you like create the household and Holistiplan. You can actually create a URL for that client and send that URL to them. So say Nora and her family were going to come into the office for their meeting that was supposed to be scheduled for 2 weeks from now, but she randomly was like, I need to come in today. You can
Yeah.
send that URL over to her and have that completed, and then that it'll trigger and tell you like she has sent it. And then it also says, I think it gives you like it's only good for 10 days. So as it gets closer to that 10-day window, it'll trigger you to like a note saying, hey, she hasn't done this yet. Like 72 hours out, I think is how the numbers work on that. But yeah, if you're looking for like a second option to like quickly get to your clients, I would suggest that.
That is fantastic. So, what I'm hearing is with the two softwares, it's just about managing it from there.
Hmm.
It's not about actually hitting the field and going and doing all of the work or all doing all the research or finding all of the data. Instead, you're just managing, gathering it
Yeah.
and reporting what was found, the
Yeah.
insights.
And I think what you guys created for the integration, again, cuts that time down for the advisor, right? It's a few clicks and then it's built and then you don't have to do it again, which is so cool, right? You just basically copy paste for the following years or every 6 months or however you wanted to work it. So once you have it built, right? Like you're going to put in a little time to build it. We're not going to say that it isn't going to take some time, but once you have it built, it's there. It's there for you to use continuously. You just copy paste and use it for the years to come. And tweak that messaging a little bit every time. Again, change the year that you're looking to collect, change the time of the season, right? We don't want to say have the best summer ever and it's December and we're all suffering from snow and everything else. Again, you're just making those tiny tweaks that you can actually delegate to someone in your office. Like you, the advisor, get to shine and do what you do best with the planning piece. This is like that office stuff that you can assign someone to tackle for you.
Yes, you're right. I've really seen advisors and their offices really get happy once they see it all work together. It's like a booster of like, wow, we were able to do that for all 100, 200, 300 clients
Yeah.
and we didn't suffer through it.
Yeah.
Tax season is definitely the suffer through season.
Yep. Yeah.
That's so funny.
We
And
try to
lead
make it as
generation.
painless as possible.
Yeah. And lead generation, I did want to mention, I've seen
Yeah.
offices use it as that as well.
Hmm.
I think Zillow does a really good job of this, where they're like, give me this little piece of information of your address, and we'll give you a price of what we would buy it for or what you could
Hmm.
sell it for. And you could do the same, where it's like, give me this one piece of information, this one document, and I'll give you a whole year's worth of strategy to kind of reduce that. So definitely consider using it as a lead magnet as well.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of advisors that have started to reach out to us that they're building a designated section on their websites that they offer tax planning and want to know like are we allowed to use like they want the client to know that they're using a technology tool, right?
Mm.
Can we use Holistiplant's logo? Do you have visuals that we can place on our website to allow that? So yeah, you're right. The advisors are really getting creative on that lead gen and then allowing to and showcasing what their firm really offers to their clients.
Yes, and it is a lateral for you as an office. You know,
Hmm.
it's a money-making opportunity, so it's a win-win for you and your clients. All right, I do see a question saying from Rosario saying, Tori, can I send a bulk request from Holistiplan? I think that was instead of using the CRM to cast a net over tax clients, maybe she's saying, can you take them from Holistiplan and send them to PreciseFP and target that group?
Yeah, that's kind of how I think I read it too. I don't think we have bulk import to PreciseFP. That would be something that the team we should probably take back because I think that's probably a big ask or want for most of our
Hmm.
clients.
Yeah, we'll definitely follow up on that.
Hmm.
All right. And Gary says, yes, bringing over contact tags from our CRM like Redtail would be very helpful. Yes, especially when you have other engagements, maybe you want to talk about estate planning even, that could be helpful of getting those tags over as well. All right, chat. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in. If you have any additional questions, Tori, where should people reach out?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to Holistiplan, it's info@holistiplan.com. Our team will be happy to help out. If you are already a customer and you're having some integration issues, reach out to support@holistiplan.com and they'll be able to get you all squared away.
Awesome. And in PreciseFP, there is an icon on every page on the bottom right-hand corner. It's a chat icon. Feel free to ask anything in there. And typically they respond in about 7 seconds, and it's always a person. So if you have questions, definitely reach out there, and we're more than happy to help. Thank you all so much for your time today. Thank you, Tori, for joining us, and have a great rest of the day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.